Welcome, everyone, to another deep dive.
Yeah, it's great to be back.
I'm really excited for this one.
Me too.
I feel like this book has been on my list forever,
Yeah.
and I finally got around to it.
Oh, nice.
And so I'm ready to just pull it apart and dive into it with you.
Awesome.
So for everyone listening, we're going to be talking about The Kite Runner today by Khaled Hosseini.
Yes,
Have you read it before?
I have. Yeah.
What did you think?
Oh, it's amazing. It's such a powerful story.
It really is.
So many different layers to it.
Yeah, and I think, for our listeners who maybe haven't read it yet, we really want to keep this spoiler-free.
Exactly.
So this is like the perfect companion for your first read-through.
Yeah, think of this as your guide, as you're going through the book.
Yes, like a little roadmap
means
to the
that.
emotional landscape of the story.
Exactly.
And I think one of the things that makes it so enduringly popular is the characters.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, they're so well developed and the relationships are so complex.
Yes, and that's where Hosseini's real strength lies, I think.
Absolutely. So let's start with the relationship that's at the heart of it all, Amir and Hassan.
Okay, yeah.
So we meet them as children in Kabul.
Right, in their childhood home.
And right away, you see this difference in their social standing.
Yeah, it's subtle, but it's definitely there.
Amir is the son of Baba, who is this wealthy and powerful man.
Great, he's got this beautiful house.
Yeah.
And Hassan's father, Ali, he's Baba's servant.
Right. So Hassan lives in this humble mud shack on the property.
Yeah, it's a really striking visual that sets the stage for their whole relationship.
It does. And you can see how that impacts their dynamic even as kids.
For sure.
But despite those differences, they have this incredibly strong bond.
They really do.
They fly kites together.
Right.
They share stories from the Shahnameh.
Mm-hmm.
And there's that tree.
Oh, yeah, with the carving.
Yes, Amir and Hassan, the sultans of Kabul.
It's so symbolic of their friendship.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
really is. But there's this underlying tension, too.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
You see moments where Amir excludes Hassan when they're around other people.
Right. Like he's ashamed of him almost.
Yeah.
Which is so sad.
It is, and I think it speaks to this internal conflict that Amir has.
Totally.
He wants Baba's approval, and he's aware of the societal expectations.
Right.
And so he kind of pushes Hassan away to fit in.
Yeah, like he's trying to navigate these two different worlds.
Exactly. And there are these specific incidents that really highlight that tension.
Like what?
Well, there's that time they go see the Iranian movie.
Oh, yeah. And those soldiers taunt Hassan about his mother.
Yeah, it's such a heartbreaking scene.
It is, and you see Hassan's vulnerability there.
Right. And even when they play Panchpar, which is this game with walnuts, Amir suspects that Hassan is letting him win.
Yeah, he thinks Hassan's being too good to him.
Yeah, and that makes him uncomfortable.
Yeah, it adds this layer of complexity to the relationship.
It does, and all of this kind of builds up to the kite tournament in 1975.
Right, that's the turning point.
And I don't want to give too much away.
Of course not.
But it's a pivotal event that has lasting consequences for both of them.
It really does.
And Amir's betrayal of Hassan during that tournament just shatters their friendship.
It's devastating.
It is. And you can really feel the weight of Amir's guilt in the chapters that follow.
Yeah, the way he treats Hassan afterwards is so cruel.
Like in the winter of 1975, he becomes really mean to Hassan.
Right, and there's that scene with the pomegranate.
Oh my gosh, that scene is so vivid.
It's brutal.
It is, and it shows just how far Amir's guilt has consumed him.
And ultimately it leads to Hassan and Ali leaving Baba's house.
Yeah, in the spring of 1976, they're gone.
It's a huge loss for Baba.
And for Amir.
Absolutely.
But their story doesn't end there.
Thankfully not.
So years later,
After
after Amir and Baba have fled Kabul and are living in America,
Right.
we learn that Rahim Khan is living in Baba's old house.
Yeah, he stayed behind.
And Hassan is with him.
Yeah.
He's married to a woman named Farzana,
Right.
and they have a son, Sohrab.
The little family.
It's like this little glimmer of hope amidst all the turmoil.
It is.
And during this time, Hassan writes a letter to Amir.
Oh, yeah, that's such a moving letter.
It is. He expresses his hope for the future
Right.
and his unwavering friendship for Amir.
It shows Hassan's true character.
It does. He's so forgiving.
Yeah, even after everything that happened.
Yeah, but then tragedy strikes.
It does.
Hassan and Farzana are killed by the Taliban.
It's a brutal reminder of the reality in Afghanistan.
It is, and it's just so heartbreaking.
It is.
And then we get this bombshell revelation.
About Baba.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the secret.
It turns out that Baba is Hassan's father.
Wow.
Yeah, so Amir and Hassan were half-brothers all along.
It reframes their entire relationship.
It does, and it adds this whole other layer of guilt for Amir to grapple with.
Totally.
So let's talk about Baba for a minute.
Okay. Yeah.
He's such a complex character.
He really is.
On the one hand, he's this imposing figure,
Yeah, successful businessman.
respected in the community, even built an orphanage.
Right, which made him even more well-regarded.
Yeah. But then there are these contradictions.
Like what?
Well, he's got this strong moral code.
Yeah, he says that theft is the only sin.
Right. But he's keeping this huge secret from everyone.
About Hassan.
Yeah. And his relationship with Amir is complicated, too.
It is.
You know,
Yeah.
Amir craves his approval,
Right.
but Baba can be really distant.
Like, he doesn't know how to connect with him emotionally.
Yeah. And he's kind of dismissive of Amir's love for writing.
Right, which is something Amir really cares about.
Yeah. And then there's Baba's relationship with Ali.
Which is another layer of complexity.
Yeah, they've known each other their whole lives.
Right, they grew up together.
And Ali is fiercely loyal to Baba.
He is.
So it's just this really intricate web of relationships.
And secrets.
Yeah. So after the Soviet invasion, Baba and Amir escape from Kabul.
Right, they flee to America.
And it's a really difficult time for them.
Of course.
You know, they're starting over in a new country.
They've lost everything.
Baba struggles to adapt. He eventually dies in America.
But he gets to see Amir get married.
Yes, to Soraya.
Right. And he's very proud of Amir.
He is, but even in death, he's still shrouded in this secret.
About Hassan.
Yeah. And it's not until after Baba's death that Amir finds out the truth.
Right, and that sends him on this whole other journey.
It does. So let's talk about Ali for a second.
Okay.
Hassan's father.
Right.
He's such a quiet and dignified character.
He is.
Despite his physical challenges, you know, he has a polio-affected leg.
Right, but he never complains.
Yeah. He just carries on with his quiet strength.
And his loyalty to Baba is unwavering.
It is. He's been with Baba his whole life.
And he raised Hassan with the same values.
Yeah. And then there's the fact that his wife, Sanabar, abandoned them.
Right, shortly after Hassan was born.
Which must have been so painful for both of them.
It must have been.
And yet Ali never speaks ill of her.
No, he just focuses on raising Hassan.
And he does an amazing job.
He does.
Hassan is such a good person.
He is.
And then Ali is killed in a landmine explosion near Bamiyan.
Yeah. It's a tragic end.
It is, and it just highlights the constant danger that people in Afghanistan were facing.
Absolutely.
So now let's talk about Rahim Khan.
Okay.
He plays such a crucial role in the story.
He does.
He's Baba's business partner, but he's also a mentor to Amir.
Yeah, he encourages Amir's writing.
He does, and he seems to understand Amir in a way that Baba doesn't.
Right, he sees his potential.
And years later, he's the one who reveals the truth about Hassan to Amir.
Yeah. That's a huge moment.
It is. And he urges Amir to go back to Kabul and find Sohrab.
Hassan's son.
Yeah, who's now an orphan.
Right.
So Rahim Khan is really the catalyst for Amir's journey of redemption.
He is.
Now we have to talk about Asif.
Oh, yeah, the villain of the story.
Yeah, he's truly terrifying.
He
We meet him as a kid, and he's already this bully with these really disturbing views.
About ethnic purity.
Yeah, he's a Pashtun nationalist.
Right, and he hates Hazaras.
And he's incredibly cruel to both Amir and Hassan.
Yeah, there's some really disturbing scenes with him.
And later on, he becomes a high-ranking member of the Taliban.
Which is just horrifying.
It is, and his path intersects with Sohrab's in a really awful way.
Yeah, I don't want to give too much away.
Right. But it's another example of the violence and injustice that permeates the story.
Exactly.
So let's talk about Sohrab,
Okay.
Hassan's son.
Right?
He's just a child when we meet him.
Yeah, and he's already been through so much.
He's an orphan.
He's living under Taliban rule.
And he's experienced unimaginable trauma.
It's heartbreaking.
It is. And when Amir finally finds him, he's so withdrawn and scared.
He is completely shut down.
Yeah, and it's really difficult for Amir to connect with him.
Of course.
But eventually he does.
And he brings Sohrab back to America with him.
Yeah, but it's a long and difficult road to recovery for Sohrab.
It is.
So let's talk about some of the themes in the Kite Runner.
Okay.
I mean, there are so many.
There are.
Betrayal and guilt are huge, obviously.
Yeah, they drive the whole story.
Amir's betrayal of Hassan haunts him for his entire life.
And it shapes his decisions.
It does, and then there's redemption.
Right. Amir's journey is ultimately about trying to atone for his past.
Yeah, and he goes to great lengths to try to make things right.
He does.
And then there's loyalty.
Yeah, which is so central to the story.
Hassan's loyalty to Amir is unwavering.
Even after the betrayal.
Yeah, and Ali's loyalty to Baba is just as strong.
It is.
And then there's the theme of political upheaval and its impact on individual lives.
Right. The story takes place during a really turbulent time in Afghanistan.
Yeah, with the Soviet invasion and then the rise of the Taliban.
And we see how these events shape the lives of the characters.
In really profound ways.
They do.
And then there's the theme of social injustice.
Yeah. The discrimination against Hazaras is a major part of the story.
It is. Hassan and Ali are constantly facing prejudice and violence.
Simply because of their ethnicity.
Yeah, and it highlights the deep inequalities in Afghan society.
And finally, there's the theme of father-son relationships.
Yeah, the book explores these relationships in really complex ways.
Right. There's the strained relationship between Amir and Baba.
And then the secret bond between Baba and Hassan.
And the loving relationship between Hassan and Sohrab.
Yeah, it's a really powerful exploration of fatherhood.
It is.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Yeah.
what are your final thoughts on The Kite Runner?
I think it's a story that stays with you long after you finish reading it.
It does.
It's so beautifully written.
And so emotionally resonant.
Yeah, it makes you think about really big questions.
Like what?
Like the nature of good and evil.
Yeah.
The power of forgiveness.
The bonds of family and friendship.
And the impact of war and political turmoil.
It's a really powerful and moving story.
It is.
And we encourage everyone listening to check it out if you haven't already.
Yeah, it's definitely worth the read.
So thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Until next time, keep turning those pages.
And exploring new worlds.
See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.